Over at Marvel Comics, some of the best titles in their entire line currently are the X-Men series, where Marvel's mutants are currently occupying the nation state of Krakoa that they operate out of. There are so many different titles in Marvel's X-Men line, and the vast majority of them range from good to great. But today we're going to go ahead and take another look at Marvel's main X-Men franchise to see just how the publisher is going to react and change to some of the new elements of Krakoa. My name is Arako Braddock, and today, let's go ahead and take a look at X-Men number 18 to see how the series deals with a massive change going back issues and issues into Marvel's Krakoa Age of Titles. But before we get deeper into the video, I want to go ahead and encourage you to consider subscribing to the video and hitting that like button if you enjoy our content. Next up, I want to go ahead and share the creative team behind Marvel's X-Men issue number 18. This issue is written by Gerry Duggan, illustrated by artist C.F. Villa. We have color art from Matt Milla, letters from VC's Clayton Cowles, and we have design from Tom Muller and J. Bowen. Next up, I want to share a little bit about the cover for the issue. This cover is illustrated by Martin Coccolo and Jesus Aburtov. And without further ado, here's a look at the gorgeous cover from the issue over from Adventures in Poor Taste. Big thanks to them for posting this preview so fast. And I want to go ahead and show off some of the interiors in the comic book itself. I really appreciate how much artist C.F. Villa draws such kind of precise anatomy and lines over in the issue. There are so many characters over in this issue of X-Men, so it's really important that we have an artist who's able to get those facial expressions like we can see over on this page with Synch and Wolverine. And, plus we get somebody who's got some great kind of poses, with the younger look at Wolverine over on this page, looking so kind of calm and collected, just standing over by a window, listening into somebody else's conversation. It's those little moments that CF Villa gets just right throughout this series. And I really appreciate that because out of all the X-Men writers, I think one of the kind of most humorous forces is actually X-Men number 18 writer Gerry Duggan. Duggan in the issue kind of really focuses on the characterization, which is a really good spot to kind of, go in and examine the X-Men right now. And the X-Men are currently kind of still reeling from Forge's discovery in the vault within the past couple issues that saw the older Wolverine from the vault, return to Krakoa. So this issue kind of is able to go ahead and kind of flesh out the role between two different Wolverine characters over in the space of one issue. It's so funny because if you count Logan, we're, talking about potentially three characters, plus Wolverine, Laura Kinney also has a sister. So there could be endless amounts of Wolverines. And even to add one more potential Wolverine character, when Synch is sort of bonded with Laura, also he looks like a Wolverine. So if you're a big fan of Wolverine, this issue is filled with as many versions of the character, aside from the original, that you could possibly count over on the comic book page. But the relationship between Synch and, Laura is just so good to go ahead and, basically reintroduce from the vault because of your investment with these characters. If you've been reading the X-Men franchise for a long time, there's a lot of kind of really solid characterization moments and a lot of really nice and cathartic elements. I love that Marvel stretched out and teased this vault storyline and left the payoff dangling for such a long time, because I think it leads to a much stronger emotional payoff at the end of the day. And to be honest, I think one of the best parts about Krakoa over at Marvel Comics is how there are so many different titles, and it doesn't seem like any of the writers and artists contributing, to Krakoa are really getting caught up in some of the, minutia and are paying off these story threads as long-term as they possibly can. And there's just so many great little moments. There's kind of an in joke, regarding Jubilee's bubblegum getting popped all over her face. That's just kind of a fun way to get little moments of characterization throughout this issue. Also, with the X-Men headed into Sins of Sinister, I think this is a really good kind of palate cleanse because Judgment Day was so heavy. Sins of Sinister is going to be really heavy too. And getting those nice kind of wins for the X-Men is essential over at this kind of moment in time. And I just think the characterization here between both Lauras leads to some kind of like interesting, last steps in terms of where Gerry Duggan is going with these characters. Also, in the issue, there's some great kind of teases about the future of the X-Men comic. If you're a fan of things that are both dark, twisted, and obscene, I think the last page of the issue is really going to set up some important future X-Men comics and offer up one heck of a cliffhanger in this issue that's going to, take, I think, kind of several issues and, is going to maybe put the X-Men franchise as a whole in a slightly different direction. Also, I've been waiting to see the character that's used on the last page of the issue for a long, long time over in the pages of X-Men. So I am so glad that they are finally back in this issue. It's interesting how this was kind of timed so that there's a couple nods to Christmas, even though we're just past the holiday. These nods are a little bit kind of like second and third hand that are mostly coming from, the aspects that the characters are wearing or pieces of their costume. So it doesn't feel like this is just kind of firmly a Christmas issue, but really just reads like the next entry, into the X-Men franchise. And before we go here, I really want to go ahead and make a special note of some of the gorgeous colors in this issue. This issue is colored over from Matt Milla, and it's really noticeable to see how just vibrant the hues are with each individual character, throughout this issue. I keep going back to this page in the preview with Synch and Laura because it just looks so gorgeous. And I think a big part of that comes from the facial expressions from CF Via, but also kind of some of the, illumination in the background of the issue, the way that the effects are colored, and those kind of little pieces of snow. I think it all comes together for kind of a really important, way to kind of blend things together very, very seamlessly over in the issue. So those are my thoughts over on X-Men number 18. I think this is a great issue where readers get to catch up, with the aftermath of the vault and finally get that payoff that they've been waiting for such a long time. It was such a pleasure to read this and dive a little bit deeper into the X-Men and get a bit of a palate cleanse. I love that this issue is also very ambitious, giving us a final page teasing a new aspect of the series that is going to inform, I believe, future issues of the title. So did you like X-Men number 18 as much as I did? What were your thoughts on Marvel running around with more Wolverines than I could have ever thought possible? Thank you guys so much for checking the video and for checking out the video, and we'll be back really soon with more excellent comic book content. We'll see you soon. Bye.